Hi, welcome to my handstand tutorial. In this video I hope to share with you some of the secrets, tips, and tricks that I've learned along my years of trying to get my handstand. I'm including a lot of topics here that aren't usually covered in what I've typically seen in handstand tutorials, so videos or blog posts. So I hope it'll really help you out to help you get that first 30-second handstand or minute handstand or even 10-second handstand if that's your goal. Let's get started. One of the most important things you can do when learning a handstand as a beginner or even an intermediate is consider the surface that you're using. A harder surface, such as a wood floor or concrete or tile, will give you a lot better feedback in your fingers once you start developing your balance, and it's just a lot more responsive compared to something like grass, where when you push with your hands it's kind of going to sink in, you're not going to have that same effort. Really important when you start to learn a handstand is to use a hard surface. Something else to consider when you're choosing your surface is the patterns on it. What I described is a confusing pattern, is like when you look at it, it kind of, for me, makes me dizzy, and I'll show you later what I mean by that. But when you look at the ground, you want it to be like a nice, stable, clear, sharp image. So like a wood floor, if it's really grainy, a whole lot of waves in it, it's kind of going to make your eyes confused and it's really hard for them to focus and help you balance. So make sure when you're choosing your floor, hard surface, and kind of like a plain pattern if possible. When you train as a beginner or even intermediate, don't wear shoes. When you change between shoes and non-shoes, it's going to throw off your center of gravity and your balance. And as a beginner and you're still trying to learn and adjust, it's better just to have one scenario instead of changing between different shoes or shoes and no shoes. So try and go with no shoes at the beginning. Ladies, if you're well endowed with a big bust, changing the variety of sports bras or no bras that you use will definitely impact your handstands. So, like compared to the weight sucked in close to your chest versus hanging forwards, it's going to adjust your center of gravity. And when you're beginning and learning, much like the hard surface, the non-dizzy surface, the more variables you can eliminate, the faster you can actually get precise balance built in. And basically you're making it as easy as possible for your body to learn how to balance upside down by removing challenging variables. When you're first starting off to balance your handstand, you're going to want to look at the center line of your palm. So you want to try to keep your line of balance, we'll talk more about this later, in the center, so that when you go forward, as you go forwards in a handstand, so you're falling forwards, you're going to need to push into your fingertips. And as you fall backwards, you're going to need to push in the heel of your palm. So basically, your hand is like your foot, and you want to keep the weight focused in the middle of your foot. Okay, so if you can in your mind's eye, and while you're doing your balancing handstands, so my hands are down, I'm going to look right here in the center. So I'm not going to look here, or look forwards or look away. It's about making it as easy as possible to learn your handstand right away. So look at the center line of your palm. There are 4 different types of handstand classifications that I use. Number 1 is the gymnast, where we have a nice perfectly straight position. Number 2 is strength, where you're more in this leaning over position and you're not perfectly aligned, but you're not really sagging too much either. Number 3 is the circus handstand, in which you can completely bend your back forwards. Your legs go in front of you. It's more arching in the back. The 4th is a shitty handstand, when you can't make a distinction between 1, 2, or 3, so gymnast, strength, or circus, and you're just throwing yourself up against the wall without any real knowledge of where your handstand, where your hand should be, where your body position should be. So my goal is to take you, if you're in the shit stage, to the gymnast stage. And the reason I teach a gymnastics handstand is because when I first started learning handstands and I didn't know anything, I would just let my back bend. I'd just go without warming up, made a lot of mistakes that I'm going to make sure you don't make in this video. And in doing so, I injured my wrists a lot, my elbows, my shoulders, and especially my lower back. Because when you don't have that nice straight position, you put a lot of pressure on your lower back, and I started getting back pain. All right, and that's not a good thing when you're only like 20 years old. There's often this question about strength and balance in a handstand. Do you require more strength or more balance or both? Well, it's a union of both, but I would say that the gymnastics handstand requires a lot of mobility and balance, whereas the strength handstand and the circus handstand requires more strength. Due to this extended position here, takes the pecs and the chest and torso out of most of the muscle work that's happening in the handstand, But once you start arching and bending, you can bring that chest in and it will really help you balance. Likewise, if you start bending your elbows, you're going to bring in more arm muscles, and that's going to help you balance. However, you're going to get more fatigue quicker. If you follow the gymnastic style where it's perfectly straight, your bones bear most of the weight, and your muscles, although they're tight and contracting, are more relatively relaxed compared to the strength handstand. I'm going to show you an experiment you can do that's going to help show you how a handstand is balanced. Alright, this will really sync up the relationship between your hand and your foot. So what you want to do is put your feet close to a wall and then try and move forwards to touch your toes. As you do this, you feel that you're falling forwards and that your toes are pushing in hard into the ground in order to keep your butt towards the wall. This is the same in a handstand. As you fall forwards, your fingers must press harder into the ground in order to reset your balance. So try this against the wall yourself. Just put your feet against the wall, try and keep your legs straight, butt touching the wall, and then try and get to your toes. And as your body weight shifts forward, notice how much more pressure is going into your toes in order to keep you close to the wall. So it's just a little balance trick you can experiment with for yourself so you can see how you're going to need to balance in a handstand. You'll see later in this video that I provide stretches and exercises for your wrists specifically designed to improve your handstand. However, if you're a complete beginner, you need to consider that 1, there's 8 tiny little bones in your wrist that weren't meant to support your entire body weight. So as much as I'm going to use the analogy of your hand is your foot, your hand is not like your foot because it's not as strong and it's not designed to hold your weight. So if you don't have a lot of handstand experience, it's going to take more time to develop the tendon, ligament, and bone strength in your wrist so you cannot have pain. The reality is that if you haven't done handstands before and you start doing this training, you're probably going to experience wrist pain. Take it slowly, trust me. Do your warm-ups, do your stretches, and do your exercises. That's going to be the fastest way for you to get your handstands. What I'm saying is, if you feel pain in your wrist, stop exercising, let them heal, let them recover for a day, move them around. This is really going to be helpful for you, doing this throughout the day, especially if you're getting a lot of wrist pain while training the handstands. But it's kind of like an inevitable thing that everyone must go through, is to build up strength in the wrist in order to support the entire body weight. So don't be too frustrated if your wrists start to hurt. This happens to everyone, and it's completely normal. That being said, if you're starting to experience a lot of pain, back off on the training, do less volume, do less reps and sets, until your body starts to adapt to the pressures.